Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, coming to you from the Sports Interaction Studio, where we always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. In this one, folks, we want to talk about the press conferences that happened yesterday between Dylan Cease and Scott Boras. They had a lot of stuff to say about this Toronto Blue Jays organization, the front office, the players, the culture, how things are being run. And honestly, it was really exciting to hear from that side of things, just how people are viewing this organization. They have taken the next step, guys. They are leveling up as a squad, and it should theoretically help them in their pursuits of other free agents like Kyle Tucker, well, I guess Edwin Diaz is gone now,
but other guys.
But other individuals, folks. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button, and of course, let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Let's start with this. This has got to get you fired up if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan. Dylan Cease, one of the most coveted aces on the market, goes to Scott Boras, interviews everybody, and says, Scott, you got to get me a deal with Toronto.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool because when I think about what Ross Atkins said a couple days ago, saying Dylan Cease was the guy we wanted in the first place. So to have the guy that you wanted also want you is super, super cool, right? And that just goes to show, like, if Dylan Cease, a top pitcher, wanted to go to Toronto, he's not the only one that's seeing what's going on right now in Toronto, in Canada. We've got some serious stuff going on. And hell, he recognizes the culture. He quote says here, you can tell they've built a really impressive culture. And this goes down to the organization, to the players, to what they bring to the table every single day and how they go about their business. And what I really love too is going on in this interview is he actually reached out to Kevin Gausman as well. And he asked him, like, right before he signed, like, oh, well, what do you got to say about the Jays in Toronto? And there was nothing negative at all.
Yeah, Gausman came back and said to him, as I asked, or this is Cease, with Gausman right here, as I asked around, nobody had any negatives to say about it. The consensus has been, you're going to love the city. You're going to love the organization. It's as simple as that. There wasn't a negative. I just want to live a little bit in that world of Dylan Cease literally going out of his way saying, I want to deal with Toronto. How amazing is it where, in the span of 12 months, we've gone from a team, we've gone from an organization that is only ever being used as leverage to now you are quite literally having the upper echelon individuals go to their agents and say, I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to go there.
Well, there's two factors why that's happening. Number one is you go to the World Series and you're 2 outs away from winning it. I think that's very clear. And you put yourself on the biggest stage and you talk about culture for all these years, but now everyone gets to see it and see what it looks like when you're actually winning and not losing and only getting 74 wins. The other one is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Think about this 2025 year. I've thought about this a lot. In a span of a year, in this calendar year of 2025, you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sign for $500 million. You go to the World Series, you sign Dylan Cease, and we're not just done yet. I mean, we're going to talk about a little bit later, but like Kyle Tucker, can we wrap that up, wrap up a great 2025 and bring in 2 major free agents, Dylan Cease and Kyle Tucker, and sign back your core? This whole year has changed everything.
I just think that in years prior, the Toronto Blue Jays, whenever they were entering into these negotiations, it was an uphill battle. And it was, we're fighting against our identity or our perceived identity.
People look at us,
people look at us, how people think our culture is, how people think the clubhouse is. And then also, too, when you don't win a lot of games, that also doesn't help things. Now, it ain't an uphill battle anymore. I mean, Dylan Cease is quite literally serving himself up on a platter here. It's a meatball down the middle, and we are obviously going to smack that thing out of here, right? Dylan Cease wanted to come to Toronto. He wanted a deal to be made, and honestly, I understand why, because on top of all of the cultural stuff, apparently their pitches to him on, pun intended, on how it is that he is supposed to get better at the game of baseball were very believable, is the word that was used.
I mean, look, you come in and you don't bullshit the guy, and that's what the Blue Jays don't do. They don't bullshit you. They come in with an exact plan on how they think they can improve upon you. I mean, shout out to Pete Walker and the boys, right? Everyone always talks about how Pete Walker brings guys over, projects and then turns them into something. And, I give Yusei Kikuchi as an example right there. He's gone out and he's had some pretty good, successful years after coming to Toronto and working with Pete Walker and this staff. And they came to Dylan Cease and they had a very specific plan. Shout out to Keegan Matheson with the quote right here. He was talking about how it was a real opportunity for Dylan Cease to get even better here in Toronto. This is what John Schneider said. And he added that what caught Cease's attention when Toronto staff spoke to him about different fastball grips. Like, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Okay, this is how we think we're gonna get you better. Not the, oh, we're gonna, like, we have a secret plan, you gotta sign here to find out. No, literally, here's the fastball grip we're gonna implement with you. And also, I know you're developing sort of a changeup. Here's how we can develop that changeup further. Because when you look over at his pitches, he's been primarily a fastball, a slider, and then he kind of throws in all these other pitches, 8% curve, 4% sinker, 4% sweeper, and 1% changeup. He's always talked about wanting to develop a changeup. Blue Jays gave him an opportunity to develop a changeup for the next 7 years here in Toronto.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, he had these, and this is, I think, again, like, just goes to show how the sales pitch of the Toronto Blue Jays has improved dramatically. He has these meetings with all these teams. He had that. He had those interviews. So those introductory interviews, I assume, let's just throw out some names here, Yankees, Dodgers, whatever. Right. He has these interviews. After all of those interviews are done, there was only one interview that stood out to him, and it was the Toronto Blue Jays, and it stood out so much that's the only team I want to go to right now. Like, obviously, I guess, I know that we always used to get on, like, because what did he used to do? The PowerPoints or the movies or whatever?
Right, he used to have the movies. I wonder if they still do that.
I wonder if they still do that. But either way, like, the sales pitch of Ross and Mark and just everybody in that room has improved dramatically to these guys, to the point where, it is Toronto.
Because I think about it, right? Like, you have to pitch to convince someone that you've got a good organization, a good culture. Well, you don't need to pitch anymore. You just showed the world. Right. I mean, hell, the other day, we found out the Toronto Blue Jays were the third most looked up sports team in the entire world.
Yeah, who doesn't want to play for that?
Who doesn't want to play for that? Everyone knows what you're all about anymore. There's no more convincing. Now it's like, okay, like I'm curious, from Dylan C's perspective, I'm curious about your team. I want to play for your team. And then all you do is Toronto Blue Jays like, hey, we got a plan for you. Okay, great. Sign me up. You got the money. Great. And it's awesome, right? And, to further hammer on the point, Scott Boras in this whole interview in the press conference made it very clear. They listen to what players want in the amenities, what players wanted in technology to help them improve, the facilities, certainly in the player community, and held as best in class. So he's just gassing up the Toronto Blue Jays. And again, Scott Boras is a pretty big name. I mean, during the winter meetings, you saw all the cameras and microphones around him as soon as he shows up. If he's saying this about Toronto, think about what other free agents are.
That's the thing, right? Like, Scott Boras, like, when he comes out and he's gassing people up, and I do understand that he's always very tactful with this. Like, you got to keep in mind that he is playing chess as well. He wants to continue to have this business with Toronto, but it's obviously a business that, I would imagine some of his other free agent players have talked to him about, right? Like, he is one of the most important individuals when it comes to just overall signings of free agents. So if he is extremely happy with the Toronto Blue Jays and he is gassing them up, you have to imagine that that's coming from a place of all of his clients wanting to come here. So clearly there is a good relationship that is forming between the Toronto Blue Jays and the biggest agent in all of baseball.
And other agencies could absolutely see that. If Scott Boras is talking big about the Blue Jays, then other ones will probably follow suit. Now, I know one big name that we've been talking about for a month now here on Blue Jays Today is Kyle Tucker. And we're all chasing Kyle Tucker right now, the number one free agent on the market. Now, he's not represented by Scott Boras. He's represented by Excel Sports Management. And if he was represented by Scott Boras, he'd probably already be signed yesterday. But still, like, we are setting an example right now. We're serious about spending. We've proven we got great culture. We're a winning ball team. And he also, Scott Boras, we don't even have the quote up here. Scott Boras called us a championship ball team. Yes. We are American League champions. All this kind of falling into place for maybe a Kyle Tucker deal to follow suit. But they're still in negotiations with him right now, and things are kind of developing as the market is changing with Kyle Schwarber going off the board, but we're still in talks right now with him.
So John Schneider did have a recent meeting with Kyle Tucker. Don't get too excited here, because I would imagine that Kyle Tucker's having a lot of recent meetings with a lot of different teams. However, Schneider came out, was rather candid about the whole thing, got into just a little bit of the nitty-gritty about what it is, some of the sales pitch was, but effectively summed it all up and just said, it was very productive. And you have to imagine that it was, because clearly the meeting with Dylan Cease was very productive, and the meetings with others have been very productive. Like, I do think that at this current juncture of time, the Toronto Blue Jays are undeniably the favorite to go out and sign Kyle Tucker. And again, it's not coming from them. I think that's what is most, or just what's hitting home for me the most. in years prior, you hear Ross Atkins talking up the Toronto Blue Jays. You hear Mark Shapiro talking up the Blue Jays, especially in their end-of-year pressers, talking about how great this team is, how great this organization is. It's not them doing it anymore. Now it's other people. It's third-party people, right? They are the ones that are, praising and just talking about how incredible this organization is. And Toronto has finally reached the pinnacle of their spending. And Scott Boras summed it up beautiful, saying that they have, or they should have been, a top 5 payroll in all of baseball for a long period of time. Now they are finally reaching that potential.
It's because people are finally starting to come over here. And honestly, guys, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Blue Jays could end up as the number 2 or number 1 payroll in maybe not this year, but most certainly in the next coming years. If everyone keeps seeing how the Blue Jays are performing and they keep seeing the culture on the big screen in the World Series, people are going to continue to come here. So the Blue Jays are taking the next step forward. And that is we're becoming an upper echelon team in all of baseball. A team that everyone wants to play for, a team that we don't have to convince, we don't have to chase anymore. They come to us because we've built something and they will come.
That's the thing. Like, I look at it now, and it always used to be for me the 2 New York teams, and then you had the LA Dodgers. And sometimes, I mean, San Diego, I kind of considered there because they were just so active at times.
Yeah.
But honestly, now it's the 2 New York teams, it's LA, and it's the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, yeah.
And that's tier 1. When it comes to spending and being active in the market and getting shit done. And they've had their off seasons recently. Those other teams, this is Toronto's off season. This is the one that cements us in that tier 1.
And that tier 1 also increases expectations. Now, last year, our expectation was, if we could just get back over 500, maybe make a wild card, that'd be a major win. Now it's you got to get back to the ALCS and give yourself a chance at the World Series, which is an awesome place to be. If you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, if you were just joining the Toronto Blue Jays bandwagon this past year, you've joined at a pretty damn good time because the next few years could be some exciting baseball, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, folks. Point being, there is a lot of more moves still to come. We're going to be live later this evening, guys, talking about Cal Tucker, talking about I assume to be a plethora of rumors coming out in the next 12 hours time as winter meetings wrap up. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button, hit the hype button as well if you have the option to. $4 a month, become a YouTube member. And thank you to all of our current YouTube members. You guys are amazing.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always, go Jays, go!